Okay, just something real quick here. A pickup. So if I hit play, I just got the real basic controller, and it's literally all he does is this, right? Nothing special. So if we wanted to say pick something up, well, we need an object, like say this gun. And in fact, we could, you don't actually have to do this part, but it's kind of fun to do, is this object here. I take it up, say tilt it. What else can I do? That's kind of neat. Is if we just give this, I don't know, say some sort of, oh, we gotta give it some transparency. Probably a little more transparency than that, but a brighter green. Yeah, something along there. And then let's give this a trigger. Yeah, roughly that big should be fine. And let's give this an FSM. Something like that. Now we have a little rotating pickup, so you don't actually have to do that part. So the idea of picking something up, so there's kind of a two-part thing. So one is we need to have some sort of text or an image or both. In this particular project, I don't have any good icons, so I won't really bother with that. So I'm just gonna label some text here, and we're gonna call this now would maybe make that green too, and I don't know, best fit, doesn't need ray casting. And like I said, if you have an image, you can use an image for this as well. Okay, so let's add a FSM here. And what would be the best way to do this? Okay. There's numerous ways to do this. This is just one of the ways, obviously. Is if we have this variable and he is null every frame, and I'm going to copy that and paste it, and is not null. Now we have these two different states based on some object in here, whether it's null or not null. So if we have our little guy here, if he has an FSM called info, like I said, and this you could do this with sprites, numbers, whatever. Oops, that's not what I meant to do. Let's give that name. value AK-47. Let's stick that over here. Okay, so now we have info and we have a variable called name. So if we have something here, I guess it would be here, it's not null, there's two things we want to do. Right, so we want to get this guy's info, the name, and this will now be that same thing. So if we now display text, display the name, display text, and then we're going to copy this guy, stick him over here, and deactivate him. Okay. Now let's do one more. I suppose I could have done it in here too. Alright, so if we're going to do it in here, let's go like this. So now we can get a reference from it. And let's call this guy UI, nice and simple. So this is here. Oops. I don't know why I put a slash in front of that. So that's our rotate, that's our info. Let's do this. Let's do if we have entered with tag player, player is here. Player is gone. Okay, now we have these two states. So set FSM game object. You might see where I'm kind of going with this now. So we need to set ourselves. So first thing I think we should do here Alright, now we get ourselves and we have this kind of thing. So the other thing we want to do, bring this over here, and I'm going to do a new variable called null. I'm not going to put anything in it. And I'm going to move these underneath. Right? So now there's AK-47. The camera I set up just for the test of this is iffy to control. Yeah, so now I can do that, right? So that's kind of the first part, is this UI end of things. And And this wouldn't matter in, I can duplicate this, and let's say, I don't know, let's get rid of that and grab we'll say this here, pistol. And we could do the same thing with this guy. And this is some pistol. Now, you should see, pops up with AK-47 and some pistol. So pretty simple so far. So that's kind of one part of it, right? So we can now see some stuff. So the other thing that we would want to do is, if we're over here, we might want to get key down maybe. And there's numerous ways to do this too. Oh, get key down. Key, let's use E. So if we do E, we need to, let's go, and send event, oh dear lord, send event. Might even want to do it this way. So we're going to send event to the pickup, and I'm going to use the name. We don't actually have a player yet. And then let's destroy. Oh, we're going to need a reference to currently in. No, we've already got a reference, so let's put that down here. So now, there we have that. So if we hit E, we're going to send this guy's name, or that name, to this guy. So if we make an event now, with that same name, I can go over, hit E, he gets destroyed. Oh, we never sent the event though. Let's make sure the name is right. That looks right. Let's try that again. So we hit that. So we get its name. Oh, yeah, we don't have the player yet. Silly me. Let's just put it right here. There we go. Now we should have a reference to the player. So now, there go. We got the event of the AK. So, what do we do with that, right? And there is numerous things we can do with that. And the easiest thing to do is I'm going to go like this. Let's put that on spine 2. And align that a little better because it looks like garbage. Alright, and we want to continue down the spine and make another one. Ba-doop. And if you want, you can use one model kind of idea and move it around and reparent it and stuff. I just find this is just a lot easier, personally. It's effective, it's easy. So there we have our hand, AK-47, and there we have our back, AK-47. So now let's have a variable. And probably not that. Let's say so if we have this, we are going to bool test, because this could change how we react to this. True and false. So if we have an AK-47 already, you know, we might want to just, I don't know, add ammo kind of idea. We have destroyed, just destroy the gun and pick up the ammo type of idea. If it's false, so we don't have one, we might now want to have a bool for if we're currently armed or not, right? So maybe we're running on without hand or without a weapon in our hand, or maybe we already have a weapon in our hand. We want to pick up the rifle but not necessarily switch to it right away. So if it's false, well then we might want to play a certain animation, such as equipped or pick up. But we do need a couple more variables. Such as the AK in hand and AK on back. So if it's false, maybe we activate, you know, the AK in hand and we set is armed to true. And then you'd also set the animator as well. Like I don't have anything in my animator 2 set, but you could, you know, play the equipped animation and change your movement. And if we are armed, then we could either take that weapon away, kind of idea, or we could say put it on our back, right? So now, so far, we go over and we hit that, we've picked it up, and now it's in our hand. I don't have the animations to actually hold it properly or to shoot it, but we've now picked it up. So one of the things that would make this easy is if you have logic somewhere and in here we have kind of more of a general data. I don't know what you'd call this. So if we pick this up and we put this in hand, then we also want to we would set this guy to in hand, something like that. So now the idea is over here we could do our shooting stuff or whatever, but what if we want to switch weapons, right? Oh, that's not what I meant to do. Right, so here we have alpha 1. Now let's call that 1. And let's do number 2. Alpha 2. Right. There's numerous ways to deal with this end too. So say we hit 1. I don't know, maybe 1's our unarmed slot. We would want to see if we have anything here. And if we are null, well then great, we can do whatever. Maybe we're going to go unarmed. But if we're not null, then we need to probably set an animator saying we're going to go unarmed. And we need 2 of these. So we need that, and like now if you had slots, you would set up slots partially over here. So if we're going to number 1, we would do this, but then we would get whatever's in, say, slot 1 and activate that one. Pretty much we're doing the opposite of this. Okay, and then let's copy that and copy this one and go 2, and this one will do the opposite. Right. Wait, is that going to make any sense? Because we're null. So if it's null, we would have to get this, because the other thing we need to do, set game object current equipped to null. So yeah, so we would need a direction on where to go for this. I'll show you what I mean. But anyway, so now, right? We pick that up, and if I hit, what did I say, 2? No, 1. So if I hit 1, it goes to the back. Right, but now we would need a way to go forward. So if you had, I don't know, say 4 weapons, we'll say, and I don't know, we'll call it primary weapon, and maybe you have a secondary weapon, or whatever the case may be. So over in here, if the AK is a primary weapon, we would have to test to see if we already have a primary, and if we do, drop that one. If not, then this one becomes the primary one. So this would be, well, I guess it really doesn't matter. AK in hand, I guess, could be that one. So we would now have a primary. So over here now, oh, wrong one. Over here now, if we hit that number 2, okay, is current equipped null. Okay, well, if it's not null, we're going to make it null. But if it is null, then we want to set game object current equipped with the primary, and then, but you only want to do this if we have a primary, so you'd have to check null for that first, I guess. By doing this. So we are going to pick up, oh yeah, that's right, we put it over here as is. So okay, so is primary null or not null? If it's null, we're not going to do anything. If it's not null, then the current equipped is now going to be primary, and we should probably do primary rest. Go back over here. There we go. Now all right, so now let's just loop him down here. So we go over, we pick it up, it's in our hand, we hit 1, it goes in our back, hit 2, goes back in our hand. Just flopping it back and forth. So the only other thing you'd want to do would be add a animation to it, obviously, right? And then of course change your logic for firing the gun. And one of the easy ways for doing that is putting the logic for the gun on the actual gun in hand, because once this is deactivated, the logic ain't gonna run. So if you had 10 weapons here and they all ran their own logic, the only one running would be the weapon you're actually holding. So it's kind of a nice easy way to have that happen. So, and to show you just a little more, is we have, I'm going to take that word away. So we have pistol. And if I go over here now, and now we have pistol. And we need, I don't know, say a pistol somewhere here. And maybe we have that in the hand. And let's, I don't know, let's put it on, let's put this one on the hips. Kind of looks weird with a big tail, but whatever. Okay, so over here. So now if this is a primary, we would, well, we'd obviously change that, but we would, and we already had the AK, we'd have to create one of these and spit it out for the AK, because we'd be dropping it. But if it's not, like it's, you know, it's going to be, say, a pistol, we would need, you know, okay, well, here's pistol ammo. Are we armed? True or false? And if false, we're now armed. And of course we need these guys. Pistol in hand, pistol on hip. So, pistol in hand. And he's going to be that. And he's going to be that. So now, like we had the primary, right? So if we now do a, I don't know, secondary, or whatever you want to call it, it really doesn't matter. Alright, so that's primary rest. So now that's secondary rest and secondary gun. Alright, so that's that. But, you know, what if we are armed? If we're armed, well, oh, let's just, oh yeah, I guess I kind of already did this. So we'd put it there. Yeah. Okay. No, that works. So we go over and we say, okay, we pick up the AK and it's in our hand. Now if I go over and hit pistol, we now have a pistol and it's on our hip. Alright, pretty simple. So what happens if, okay, say we hit, so if we hit this guy here, we're doing our logic to load up our primary. I believe. Yeah, because if he's null, we're doing this. And if we're over here, if this one's null, so if we hit 1, if we're currently I gotta think of this. Okay, so say 1 is our pistols, 2 is our rifles. So we hit 1, we want to go to our pistol. We would need to see if we have something in our hands, because that's going to change things. So if that's false, we have nothing in our hands. Do we even have a secondary gun? If null, well then just go back, because there's no point hitting that button. But if it's not null, then we need to set currently equipped to the secondary and secondary gun rest. And let's put him over here. And he can go here. Right, so this is doing pistols. This one's doing rifles. Right, so we have nothing in our hand, but we do have a weapon. We're going to load that up and activate them. Alright. Now, what if so now what if current equipped is not null? Now if we're not null, then we need to deactivate whatever we have. Let's make a copy of that up here. And then actually, we should probably test this first. If it's not null. Right, because if you hit the button, we don't want anything to happen if you don't have a gun to swap to. So if it's not null, so we have a secondary gun, but we've hit our gun select button, but we have something in our hand already, and we know we have another gun. We need to deactivate whatever we have in our hand, and then activate our pistol. Right? And if we do rifles, so okay, are we null? Right? It will be the same concept. So are we null? And if this guy here, if we're null, do we have a primary gun? Just like this guy. And this one, if we're null, go back. And if we're not null, then we need to set our primaries just like this guy does for the pistols. I don't know what that state's doing there. Let's delete him. And then he goes back to the final. If we are not null, so we have something in our hands, right, just like this one does. We need to test to see if we have a primary to start with, and if we don't, well then let's just go away. But if we do, just like how this one deactivates, I guess that one we can get rid of, right? Just like this guy will deactivate, and then he sets that. So now I run over, I pick him up, I can hit 1, nothing happens. I'm hitting 2, apparently still nothing happens. So we gotta look at that. Alright, let's see what's happening there. So secondary gun is null. We are activating the rifle. That's fine. Mind you, if it's already activated, we should almost deactivate it, put it away. And this one here is doing this. So currently equipped, we have something. And we don't have a secondary gun. But we should have a secondary gun. And that's where we screwed this thing up. Is because we need those current equipped. We need these two. This data has to go over here as well. And that'll be the same as this guy here. Not the current equipped, but the fact that we have the primaries. Alright, that'll change one thing. It's not going to fix everything yet. Okay, so we hit that, we pick that up. So we've loaded our, so we can switch our weapons. That part's fine. But it'd be nice if we hit this button if we put our gun away. Right? So rifle is current equipped, not null. Do we have a primary? Alright, so this guy just says activate. Now what if instead let's add an integer. Current weapon select. So if we hit 1, we go all the way up here, we are going to do current weapon select equals 1. going to match these numbers. And this one will be 2. There's numerous ways to do this. I think this will just be an easy way of doing it. So if current select weapon, which is going to be this guy, is equal to, okay, we need 2 of these actually. Paste that, make sure it's before. If you put it after this, it won't get tested. Alright, so now if current weapon select is equal current select, then disarm. If it's pretty much anything else, just do a finish. So finish here. But if it's a disarm, then we want to maybe we go to 0 or a weapon select 0. Alright. So let's put that same thing here. So we go over it, we pick it up. There we go. So now I can just swap it back and forth. Swap those. So if I hit 1 though here, part's working, 1's not working, so I messed something up there. It's saying disarm, that part's working. So that's from there. I guess I need to put that in. So if we are unarmed, we're hitting 1. We are seeing we have pistol in hand. But we're setting 1. Right. Okay. So we need one more compare here. If the switching is 0, also do the finish. Because if we're unarmed, we don't have to worry about it, right? It should just be fine. Now the other issue we have is, right, so we hit 1 game object. So currently equipped is null. We're going up here. That's not null. We're going here. If the current equipped is null, there's no need to disarm. I think I put that in the wrong spot. But here, so okay, we've checked our pistol. We have nothing currently equipped. We come over here. We check to see if we even have a gun, a pistol. Pistol is, yes, we have something here to equipped. Okay, so if we're equipping, actually this part shouldn't matter because we are coming, there's going to be, oh no, we aren't coming from a null, right? Still, that shouldn't matter. We aren't coming from a null. But whatever, it's not going to hurt nothing anyways. So game object is null, secondary gun. So we're going to check to see if they're the same, and if they are, we're going to disarm. But if they aren't, then we are going to do that. Over here, if we're dealing with nothing in our hand and we have something, we're just going to equip something. What is this state doing here? Current equipped. Because if we're disarming, well, that's like the same state. Right, because if we're disarming, then yeah, we're just going to disarm. If we're not, we're just loading in. Oh, that guy can go away. I'm pretty sure. Unless he's supposed to be like this guy has it. Alright, well then we'll just copy that guy. Whatever. Let's check that now. We go over, we hit that. I hit that, I can go, may have hitting 1, nothing happens. I think I should almost add another layer to that. So I can swap my rifle, swap my pistol. My pistol's out and I hit my rifle. It just puts it away, it doesn't pull out my rifle. I think I'd almost rather have it pull out my rifle, right? Because right now if I have that and I want my rifle hit 2, it puts my gun away. And then I pull out my rifle if I hit it again. Same if I go the other way. So I should almost adjust that so it just goes straight to it. But anyways, I mean that's the concept anyways. I mean, it's, if you're doing a slot system, that's probably one of the easier ways to do it. I mean, it's probably good for now. I mean, I'll get anyone started. So we have I guess this is more of a primary slot, secondary slot. This is just some finishing info. Buttons to choose the slot. And we have these guys that load the slots, right? So, I mean, if you have 15 different weapons, you're going to have 15 of these things, right? So you're going to have, you know, might have 3 or 4 different primaries, 3 or 4 different pistols. Maybe you have a rocket launcher in here, or heavy weapons and a knife. Who knows? And then we have this little logic here, right? And so then with this one here, like I don't have the icons for it, but there's nothing saying that, like, we're just getting a string for the name, but you could get the string for the name and get an icon and get colors or whatever, and you just load it up, right? The only thing you actually need then is just more variables here, right? We have name. Well, I mean, if you want, you know, an icon, you know, it's as simple as that. Put an icon in, right? Like, I really don't have much. You know, there's an icon. You know, you want colors or whatever. Maybe you want your text to be a special color. You know, like, there you go. You can just pick all that up through here. Get the string, get whatever other information we have, set it along your special little spot here, and then activate them. Nice and simple. Well, anyways, hopefully that helps, and I'll talk to you guys later.